Oh, mate, Bonza. Oh, let me tell you about this movie I got to tell you about.
Okay, yes, I'd love to hear about it, Mr. Miller. Go on, go on.
No worries, mate. You call me Georgie there. Yeah, it's just amazing. This Bonza of a movie. There's a water shortage in the future. It's a post-apocalyptic world, like an absolute hellscape, mate. We've got there's a despot who wants to control all the water in the world. Yeah.
This sounds great. I mean, it sounds like could it even have like a does it even have like a strong female lead?
Oh, mate, that's the best part. We got the strong female lead. She drives this absolute war rig that she's done up herself to
Huh.
be absolutely customizable, and she's doing her best, to rescue this girl, and also she's been separated from her people. So there's all that kind of drama that's going on there too.
Oh wow, that's really okay. And like a lot of CGI
Oh
or like
no,
more like
mate, no, mate,
no
none of
no.
that stuff. There, more as much practical effects as we can possibly do.
Hmm.
I mean,
Okay,
honest to
okay.
God, it's one. I think this movie, with the practical effects being used, the strong female lead, I mean, game changer.
Well, I mean, Georgie, if I may, I think we're ready to make Mad Max Fury Road. Here we go.
Oh no, mate, I ain't talking about that. I ain't finished writing that. I've just talking about my favorite movie from the '90s, Tank Girl.
You know when I pick a movie, that's when I'm under pressure now. The question always comes back to me, what were they thinking now? Whoa, what were they thinking? What were they thinking?
All right, crikey, welcome.
Get it out of your system.
Oh, I don't know. See, this one's not as egregiously Australian
As
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 BMX
BMX
bandits.
Bandits. Exactly.
That's true. That's true.
They didn't. I don't feel they leaned shoulder first into the Australian aspect of this movie. But, anyways, welcome to our show. What were they thinking? A podcast about bad to questionable movies, and I'm not
Mm.
sure why we're talking about this one.
I mean, you
Uh,
are the one that picked it, Nathan.
I
Let's.
am, but I mean, the reason being is that apparently the old critics had their nose in the air about this one. I don't know what
I.
that's all about.
I mean, I think not received well in general at the time. I think it's one
Yeah,
of those ones that's been critically reappraised.
absolutely. I, of course, am your host, Nathan, and with me, as always, is the Jet Girl to my Tank Girl. Introduce yourself there, Brennan.
Oh, we got a kiss now
That's why WWE Hall of Famers think we're married.
because you introduced me as your fake girlfriend.
Well, I mean,
Um,
we never actually, they never actually get to be girlfriends in the movie, so
one by the
spoiler
way,
alert.
if I have to say something negative about this movie, it's that very point. Because Tank Girl is very clearly an LGBTQ icon. If
Yeah,
this movie is made in 2022, they're a couple.
yeah.
100%. Anyway, yeah, I'm Brendan, and I'm also here to talk about Tank Girl.
Crikey.
Strap
And
in.
this movie has been long been a favorite of mine. There's so many things I love about this movie. The aesthetic, Lori Petty actually kind of set the ideal punk rock girl for me in my mind as well. And of course, I mean, the soundtrack absolutely slaps. The creature design is cool, although looking at it now, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that these people are owed some money from the people of Ratchet and Clank.
Man, when Bjork came onto the soundtrack, I was grooving to that. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, here we go.
So,
I didn't expect some of the songs. Like I didn't know all the songs, but like, well, certainly one of the songs I didn't expect at all. But but a lot of them were
well,
like, okay, okay.
pitter patter, let's get at her.
Let's get at her.
Right. Plot. This movie is Tank Girl. It is about a girl who drives a tank. Her name is Rebecca. She is living her best life in the post-apocalyptic Australian outback, and she is a member of a resistance who gets taken by the it's a
Water and
despotic
Power.
ruler. It's Water and Power, but it's Malcolm McDowell presented as like a despotic ruler. She, of course, is imprisoned, has to escape, and then, of course, they have to topple the government as well as save a lost child who was part of Rebecca's resistance band. Hilarity absolutely ensues.
Both intentional and unintentional.
Absolutely.
And we should mention there's also a group called the Rippers, who we will get into later.
That is the backup band for Mr. Jesse Katsopoulos.
Oh, okay.
And it's a weird. I didn't expect to see them in this movie. I mean, they look different on Full House.
A little bit
different, but still as musically inclined as we see.
Did nobody ever start a band called Jack and the Rippers? I would have thought that was a gimme.
Well, I mean, maybe a punk band from England, and then
I feel like it had to happen.
You
glorifying prostitute killing.
Struth. Okay, so we started this movie, and like I said, with a soundtrack that absolutely slaps from beginning to end. We get a cool compilation, not unlike Swamp Thing, where it's opened with comic book snippets from the actual comics that were published.
Okay, so legit then.
Yes.
Okay.
And of course we find out that the Rippers that we were just talking about, their creature design is based on the designs of one Mr. Fantastic Stan Winston.
Winston, director of the Oscar-winning film A Gnome Named Norm.
Hey, let's not take away from this, okay? He's
great. He's great. I just like mentioning that movie every time I hear his name.
So after we get this like a really good musical open with the comic book art and some of the only actual like naked boobs that we see in the movie, oddly enough,
rated R too. I mean, come on, movie.
Well, there are some boobs later, but they're never Lori Petty's, so don't get your hopes up. Nor are they Naomi Watts, so don't get your hopes up.
You can watch another movie for that, though.
Yeah, you can. I mean,
a couple of them,
a few of them, yeah. So we open up and we find out that the world has turned into a matte painting.
In the post-apocalyptic year of 2033, which I'd normally laugh and say, haha, that's so soon, but now I watch and say, yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's a distinct possibility.
For some reason, the opening reminded me of the opening of the Mario Brothers movie a little bit. Just the whole like, whoa, you wouldn't believe it. It was like a comet hit the world. Just the laying on thick, like, she's not doing like an accent, but she's doing like a voice, a very distinct voice. And it just
every time I hear Lori Petty, I always hear her sound like that, though.
Oh yeah, no, but it just reminded me of like that guy that's laying that Brooklyn accent on real thick in the Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah. So Lori Petty, she's breaking it down for us. Water's super scarce. It hasn't rained in, she said, 11 years. And she's out. What's that?
I was just going to say, but she's horny as fuck. We get established right away because she says, but then again, 20 people got to squeeze in the same bathtub, so it ain't all that bad.
Yeah, that's right. She is very sex positive. I got to say, that's a pretty great thing about this movie. This movie actually just from content to portrayals, with a few minor exceptions, feels like a movie that was made like 20 years too early.
Yeah, it does feel kind of progressive in a lot of ways. Especially
if you consider with the 90s, because you gotta think about like this movie. Let's see, when did this movie come out?
95.
So this would have been right around the same time as like Encino Man and the others like that, where you
Yeah.
know the other f bombs are dropped constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Dude bros are the heroes a lot of the times, and I mean even when we talked about Encino Man, I mean Sean Astin's characters.
Sean Astin's a piece of shit in that
He's a
movie.
shit in that movie, exactly.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be our hero. Meanwhile, Lori Petty is absolutely our hero in this movie.
Oh yeah, 100%.
100%. She's riding around on her yak because she's trying to find a birthday present for her boyfriend. She's filling us in on this mysterious group known as the Rippers, who have a tendency to attack the water and power people, who she says have all the water and all the power.
Mm-hmm.
And so she comes across this slain water and power, I guess, stormtrooper.
Yeah, troopers. I just was calling them soldiers. I don't really
Okay.
know. They're
So
kind of
and
like an
she
army.
Yeah, and she takes like they're like a security force. I wouldn't. They're not it's weird because they're not in like a government body, but they are almost portrayed to be like the government.
Yeah, they're not as tough as those army guys in Return of Swamp Thing, but they've definitely got some strength to them.
Yeah, they're not Naruto security. That's for sure. She takes the guy's boots and probably whatever else she can salvage, and then makes it absolutely clear. Again, this is all in her exposition voiceover
Yeah.
that her and her friends do not suck up to water and power. In fact, they steal water from water and power. So and then we see her going back to her hideout. Now, this is where we get like one of these first kind of cuts where they do a comic book art panel almost
Yeah,
to
it
show.
happens a lot.
It happens a lot, and there's also sections later in the movie which we'll talk about where it's just full on animated sequence. And I come to find out that we're in a real studio versus Selleck situation. If anybody remembers our episode on Monkey Bone, where this was more though with the writers of it, because the guys who wrote the comic were actually on board to write the screenplay and had written in these animated scenes, which we'll talk about later, to be filmed. And the studio was like, no, we're not spending that kind of money on this. You can draw them in like cartoons.
Yeah.
And then like establishing shots like of the water and power buildings of her gang's place, other things, places that they come across in the movie are all done in these art panel types. Some it feels like it's an homage to the comic, but a lot of it makes me say, this was the studio being too cheap.
But at the same time, I think no. I think when because I think I watched this all at one point. I didn't remember anything, but maybe not. Maybe I was just way too young. But um, I think there's something about it that still works. That still works with the comic book panel thing when they cut to, because it fits the rest of this movie's just insane, off the wall,
It
crazy tone that you're like, yeah, why not?
I know that the writers they didn't care for it, but
Mhm.
I will say this is a very Bob Ross moment, and it's an absolute happy accident because you were absolutely on the nose with that one. It does fit the tone of this movie. Even when they did the wild animation sections, I was like, this fits. This absolutely jives with this
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
just kind of again, this movie is just like everything. There's so many wild choices in this movie that like it doesn't feel outside of the norm for it.
Yeah. So she's back at her hideout, and she's we kind of get to see their hideout, which is like it looks like it's an old farmhouse.
Yeah.
And it's their kind of living commune style, where they're growing their own vegetables and stuff in like a greenhouse situation downstairs, because you can't grow that stuff outside. And even if you could, you'd get shut down by water and power because there's a water shortage on.
Mhm.
Um, Rebecca, Tank Girl, Lori Petty, kind of peeks into this green room area. As like I'm assuming she came in through the back door. Her boyfriend is down
Giggity.
there. Exactly. Her boyfriend's down there, and they decide to do a little role playing around the food that they eat, I guess.
It is some strange, like dangerous sexual role play, only
Yeah,
interrupted by their kid, not their kid, but a young girl of like, I don't know, 10, being
she's
like,
10. She's
yeah,
10.
being like the 4 feet away, being like, oh, come on, guys,
Yeah, and
adults.
her I'm guessing it's her brother, or at least a brother-like character for her, who comes in. Oh, they're being weird again. But the best part about this scene are the shirts that the kids are wearing. The boy is wearing a shirt that says social deviant, and the
Hmm.
girl, the 10-year-old girl, is wearing a t-shirt that says wanker.
Yeah, why not? I mean,
Everything in this movie is great. Perfect. I don't know how I ended up taking notes because I have no notes.
I have a lot. I have a lot of questions. But I will say, I mean, I've seen some. I don't understand it either. I've seen like there was a kid I saw around town though. Every time I saw him, he was wearing a shirt that said "Your girlfriend thinks I'm hot," and he couldn't have been more than 8 or 9 years old.
You know
And I'm
what?
like, why are you making him wear
I
that?
I see. That's the thing. I see that, and I was like, I appreciate your energy, kid. You know,
It's,
you're gonna grow up to be confident. Good on you.
but I don't. I didn't get the sense that he knew what he was wearing. Let's just say
I don't
that.
know, man. I remember being young, and well, I think we've led two different lives.
I have a question for you, Nathan. Does
Yeah.
this
What's that?
sour your? I wonder if this aspect sours your love of Lori Petty, aka Tank Girl, because she talks quite pridefully about her autograph poster of the Doors.
No, it was Doris Day.
I thought she said the Doors.
No, it was Doris Day.
Well,
Because
never mind. Are you sure it wasn't? Are you sure it wasn't the Doors?
no,
Doris Day?
it was of. I didn't lend you my prized autograph picture of Doris.
Oh, I thought she said the Doors.
No,
Oh, wouldn't
Doris.
it have been great if Doris Day played Jim Morrison in a biopic?
Jeez.
I would watch the shit out of that.
Okay, that would be kind of interesting because it would be an absolute train wreck. Just have her done up, breast binding complete,
Oh yeah,
stuffing a kielbasa down her leather trousers.
for sure.
Good
Uh,
lord.
by the way, Malcolm McDowell. Okay, so Malcolm McDowell is the
Hmm.
guy in charge of
Just real
Water and
quick
Power.
before we go to Water and Power, we
Yeah.
do get that exchange with the whole Doris Day thing. There's an exchange where we get to see that these kids are obviously the apocalypse grows you up fast apparently, because if she's 10, she's never known a world with rain,
Right.
and she's carved what she thinks a ripper looks like,
Hmm.
and the her older brother, let's say for the sake of argument, because this is the last time we're going to talk about him,
Yeah.
um he says, how are you going to carve a ripper? No one's ever seen it. And she says to him, no one's seen your peanut dick either. And I'm like, good job, 10-year-old girl. Burn on your brother.
I mean, I think every male character in this movie is a dumb shit, and I mean that like. I'm not saying that as a bad thing either. Like, fuck it, who cares? Like,
Some of them are
do it.
super likable, but they're dumb shits.
Yeah, a few of them are likable. Not all, but definitely
I
a
said
few.
some
Yeah, some. Most of the ones that are die
are,
though.
are kangaroo men.
Oh God, we'll get into it.
We'll get to that.
But I want to say that Malcolm McDowell. Okay, so Malcolm McDowell is the leader of the Army of Water and Power. I wrote down, but I
Yes.
also wrote that at one point you just see the acronym, and all I could think of was wet ass pussy.
Was there an A in there? I just saw the W and P.
Oh, I thought I saw the A, and I just thought Cardi B. Just Malcolm
Well,
McDowell walking around going like, "Got that wop 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 wop."
You're right. We go to water
And a
and
mop
power.
and a bucket.
Do it now. So we go into we go into what is a scene is it looks like a happy scene. They're toasting to the fact that they have 95% of all the water contained in the reserves under the desert in their control. Of course, that's not the case. He is a lunatic despot and will only settle for 100%. And he's toasting to the captain, who's who's gotten everything except the 95%. And the captain even says, "I assure you, sir, the Rippers are but a minor setback, and we will have 100%." And then he still just loses his shit, breaks a bunch of like display maps that are made out of glass. You know how much water it takes to make glass? That just seems wasteful on his part.
He's a real dramatic Daryl, I
Yeah.
gotta say.
No, yeah.
And then,
And so he breaks all this glass,
Yep.
tells the captain, "Take your boots off."
Mhm.
Which I'm like, okay, that kind of movie, I'm cool with that. But that's not where this movie goes.
all right, Quentin.
I don't know, I'm just saying. Although he might have been interested in this part because he then Malcolm McDowell's character, what's his Evil McCranky Pants, makes the
that's his
captain.
name.
I can't remember what his name is now off the top of my head. It's like it's some weird name, and he makes the captain walk across the broken glass because he feels like he's walking on
Kesley.
broken glass.
Kesley.
Kesley. Okay, Kesley.
Mhm.
All right. So Kesley makes this guy do an Annie Lennox and walk on broken glass to him. Then berates him for walking on broken glass like he was told to do.
He's like, "You should have killed me, you fucking pussy."
It's like
Basically.
there's no win for this poor captain.
No, and then Nathan, the capper to all this is he has a fucking device that he stabs him in the back with. It sucks, it liquefies, like it sucks all the water out of his body
Any moisture in your body
into a
separates
cup.
it. Well, separates it and then deposits only the water into the receptacle.
And then Malcolm McDowell fucking drinks his milkshake.
To which I say that would be salt water and it would kill you.
I mean, maybe he's got a converter from salt to.
Well, I mean, if it's separating the water from the blood, maybe there is a desalinization thing going on inside that thing. But
I just I don't remember the last time. How you can't establish a more villainous villain, and he literally drinks him.
Yeah, yeah. Other than Dracula, can't think of another.
Dracula doesn't drink, consume someone's entire body, liquid. So
yeah. Okay, so anyhow, I actually noted that I hear that is actually Nestle's Plan B.
Yeah.
when they can't buy water for pennies, like 100 gallons from some fucking poor town in Ontario.
Yeah, they just suck it out of people with a fucking fork knife thing
that separates and desalinizes.
Yeah.
So right, yeah, that would be salt water, and we cut from there to Rebecca on her guard duty, which was interesting. That was she had an Elvis bobblehead dog thing in her. Like she was trying to entertain herself. She was smoking, which she didn't seem to really care for. And the cigarette actually looked like a shotgun shell, like because it was the paper was bright red and the tip was gold, so it looked like a shotgun shell that she was smoking at first. Drinking beer that she spits out. I don't know what that's, and it was never made clear. Maybe she accidentally drank her own pee. I don't know. They didn't.
She went straight edge right in that moment.
Right, exactly. Well, no, because it would have been the moment after, because that's when she has the cigarette and is like, "Bleh," and then flicks that away. We between her mucking about on her guard duty, we cut back to her boyfriend finding his combat boots that she gave to him for his birthday, which she took off the dead water and power trooper. And we see some combat boots walking towards her guard post, and you're supposed to think, oh, it's her boyfriend sneaking up to surprise her. She, again, of course, is, again, like I said, super sex positive, and she doesn't turn around. She figures it's him because she hears the boots and says, "You have to wait. You have to watch."
Starts cutting up her stockings, and this crazy seductive music starts playing.
We also just before that, though, she does have an interaction with Sam, because then because it's a plot point. I gotta roll back to it. She has this little back and forth where she talks about don't say butt smear, say asshole or dickwad. It's more ladylike. And Sam wants to barter her with her to go get her some food or some water. I'll do that if you give me the ball. This I don't know what it was. I can't remember exactly what it's called. It's like this little device that she took off of the water and power trooper, and it's like I'm guessing you activate it and then you throw it at someone because it's these spikes. You press a button on it
Yeah, yeah,
and the
right.
spikes come out.
Yeah.
And to which she says, if you don't handle it right, you press this button, your steak tartare. I'm like, you don't get burnt. That's not how that works. And then the boyfriend thing that we just mentioned a minute ago, and she's doing the seductive thing, like you said. We got the music going on. She's snipping away at her nylons and things like that. And just when she thinks that oh, it's the boyfriend, the guy finally cocks his rifle, and she turns around to see that it's not her boyfriend, but a water and power guy who has snuck up on her while she's on guard duty.
But he
Embarrassment, right?
wants but he wants her to keep going though. At first he's like, and then he totally believes her that she's
Hmm.
going to just suck his dick.
That happens a couple of times
I
in
know
this
people
movie
are
to people. Yeah,
very gullible
really.
in this movie.
Never underestimate the drawing power of BJ. So while this is all going on, of course, and now she realizes water and power is onto them, they're converging on the house while she's kind of stuck there. She tricks the guy and headbutts him, takes his gun and runs away. And then just as she turns around because he's like, hey, or stop, or something like that. And we see that she has pulled out the keys from the grenades that the guy had on his belt, and this guy goes up just like Gunn from Return of Swamp Thing.
Yeah. Boom boom. But then her boyfriend gets gunned the fuck down, and and we have one case of hashtag child murder.
We have one case of hashtag child murder and one case of hashtag yak murder.
That was that was startling and alarming. That poor thing just comes around the corner and he's like, boom boom, it's dead
And
now.
that's what you should have known. Animals. There's a water shortage on. So her whole commune, as far as she knows, wiped out.
Mm-hmm.
And she is taken prisoner by the water and power folks. And I think the only reason why she's taken prisoner by the water and power folks, we come to find out later that she killed like 8 of them
Yeah.
without shooting a single one. I don't think.
Yeah, no, because she breaks one of their necks too.
That
Uh,
happens. During the during the airplane ride.
Yeah, because again, I think that's the second time she said, "I'll suck your dick" to one of them, because I think
Well,
she said
yeah,
it to the
because
guy when she was on guard duty too.
and that's the thing. She doesn't outright say it. Like when she's on the guard duty, she does the snip, and she shows the red bra that she's wearing, and then she kind of beckons the guy over, and he's like, "Oh yeah," and he comes in, and that's when she does her thing, takes the grenades, and he blows up. They take her onto this airplane. They're transporting her, and the guy who killed her yak actually gets kind of, I don't know, he starts antagonizing her a bit, and
Mhm.
you find out that she will play along with the antagonism, like, and won't fight against it, but kind of is.
Yeah.
Like when she asks, like, that looks like it hurts, the cut on her head that she got when she got knocked out. She goes, that's cool, I like pain.
Mm-hmm.
Right, not
She
wanting to give him the satisfaction.
she's also upset that she might miss Baywatch, which I gotta say, I know syndication is a thing, but I like to believe that this movie was like, yeah, that'll still be new episodes in 2033.
Got some interesting stuff about that to say in a bit too. So yeah, once she's like, yeah, I'm also into hot oil and what was the other thing? Hot oil and vacuum attachments. and then asks the guys if any of them wants an oil change. There's some weird innuendo in this movie. Like the language for the innuendo is strange in this movie in a lot of parts.
In the last few weeks, we've had a lot of like weird sex things in these movies. Like
Yeah, like
Swamp
the
Thing, Heather
cucumber
Locklear was trying to
penis.
fuck a plant, and then the week
Yeah.
before, Gina Davis and Matthew Modine were like talking about vaginas and dad's scalps and stuff. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
been weird. It's been a
It's
weird
been
ride.
it's been a strange spring, that's for sure. So this is how she tricks him. He's like, "Oh, if I feel teeth, you'll feel lead." He's gonna shoot her if she, reneges. Because one of the guys like, "Don't be stupid. She's gonna bite your dick off."
Yeah.
Which the soundest thinking character in the entire movie.
The only guy with a brain, honestly.
Right. For sure. And so she, of course, makes fun of saying he has a tiny dick. He hits her a couple times, and then she like fucking Hurricane Rana breaks the guy's neck.
Yeah,
Like
she
she does a
straight up
leg lock and snaps it.
straight up Sonya Blades him right there.
Yeah, and of course they all pull their guns on her, and she's like, "What? What did I do?"
Yeah.
I did find it cool that Malcolm McDowell had a water door. Did you catch that?
No, I didn't.
Oh my god! In this scene where he comes in, when they're first meeting, he first meets Rebecca. Let's just call her Tank Girl, hun. That's her character name as far as I'm
Yeah,
concerned.
I can't think of her as a Rebecca. It's weird.
Yeah, or even Becca, as Sam calls her later.
Yeah.
So this is where he first meets Tank Girl, and he comes into the room, and the room has got like, I don't know, 6 or 7 jets of water running top to bottom to form the door.
Mhm.
And as you approach, the middle bunch stop so you can walk through. And then once you're through, it's like a beaded curtain but with water. Which again, if there's a water shortage on, seems wasteful.
I mean, that's his whole thing, right? He
Mhm.
doesn't care. Like he literally took a glass of water earlier, just poured it on the floor. Like he doesn't give a shit.
Okay.
I also like how he's coming in as this like, he's like quoting, he's doing like poetry and trying to sound smart
Oh
and
my
everything. And she's
yes.
essentially like, would you just rape me or kill me? Because I would rather you do that than listen to this for 2 more minutes.
she's a headstrong character, I'll tell you. I love Tank Girl.
I just love how she just immediately crushes that whole villain like monologue poetry bullshit that's about
She
to
does it a
start.
couple of times in the movie, and
Yeah.
it's really is kind of a breath of fresh air when you think about it, because
Yeah.
there's been so many movies where I've watched where like a villain will go on like this with like, it's just pseudo poetry that they're either supposed to, either they know off the top of their head or they're coming up with on the spot, and nobody goes, "Could you hurry the fuck up?" Because honest to God, I got shit to do.
This is worse than death.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Save it for slam poetry night, okay? So she says that basically, I don't give a shit. Also, it looks like he's growing weed
Yeah, I kind
in
of
the
get that
background.
vibe
It
too.
looked like there were like crops and crops of weed. That was another thing that cooked me up. She's basically saying, I'm not gonna be like a lack, because he offers her to work for Water and Power. I'm assuming as like as a general or a high ranking soldier, because she killed 8 Water Power guys with her bare hands.
Yeah, but she doesn't want to, so he makes her a slave.
Off to the mines. And that's where we find out that she wants to know if she can get home soon because she's going to miss Baywatch, which I found out that a lot of the references that the original, like the writers put into this,
Mhm.
were switched out for things like this.
That makes sense.
Because they had put in more like Brit and Australian centric references to like Australian and not British kid shows, or those like comedians and stuff like that. And the studio, from my understanding, we've reworked it with more broader Western pop culture references.
I mean, I kind of understand that too, though. At the same time, if you're gonna have this movie play big in America, I get
Mhm.
keeping that stuff in.
Yeah.
Or having it be like, Baywatch instead of, oh, I hope I don't miss the new episode of that Kalamazoo hat. Like, whatever. I don't know.
Oh, Wentworth's on. I gotta get home.
Oh, there you go. This is
um,
also where we meet Naomi Watts, who plays Jet Girl,
mhm.
and
Does she get a real name?
I don't
They just
remember
keep
her
calling her
name.
Jet, don't they?
I think she's got a name. Nope, she's just Jet Girl,
No, I know she's
apparently.
Jet Girl, but when they just constantly refer to her as Jet in the movie too. They don't refer to Lori Petty's character as Tank Girl like ever. They
Yeah,
call her Rebecca. So I'm guessing Jet is also her name, which I mean her
it's possible.
parents apparently were prophets.
Right, because she works on jets, and
And
she
those
has a one of the guys that works for Water and Power is the
oh
rapiest piece of
fuck.
shit.
Yeah, right?
Oh,
Actually I believe this character is Captain Lacrosse.
yeah,
Captain Duke Lacrosse.
that would have been great. This is um, but
But
it
yeah,
does.
he's like, "Hey, uh, when's this gonna be done?" She's like, I'll have it by Wednesday." And because she works in shifts, she'll
Mhm.
finish. She'll work tomorrow and the next day, and it'll be done by Wednesday. And he's like, "We need it for tomorrow, so you have to work all night, unless you want to change my mind," or like basically saying like, fuck me, and I'll let you have, an 8 hour break between your shift, sort of
Mm,
thing. Human rights stuff.
yeah.
And she's like, "It'll be done by morning."
Yeah, no
And
thanks to
I'll say
that.
this: she definitely comes off as a meeker character in comparison to Tank Girl's whole vibe, but she definitely does have a survivor head strength to her,
And I will say
because she
this.
does reject his advances, knowing full well that if
Yeah.
she didn't, she would get a lot more preferential treatment. But she's like, "Nope, I'll work all night if I have to."
And I will say this to the movie. Um, good effort, but I don't care how hard you work on this. I'm sorry, you can't make Naomi Watts not hot. I'm sorry, there's just no way to do it.
I don't think that she's not supposed to be not hot. I
But
just
she's
think that
supposed to be
she's
like I think she's supposed to be like quote unquote regular
mousy.
looking.
I think she's mostly more, yeah, more
But
mousy, girl
it's
next
not
door type
it's
stuff.
Naomi Watts though. But we can thank Tank Girl for Mulholland Drive, I'm assuming, based on this scene coming up.
Do you mean the sand shower?
Well, the sand shower that Tank Girl has, but then she interrupts that dude berating Jet Girl by
Oh
pretending that
yeah,
Jet Girl is her girlfriend, and they have a quick smooch.
yeah, and Captain Lacrosse gets he gets grossed out by this, which it you know what, it lets you know where things were in the '90s. But I'll say this again, like you said before, that would have been something that it's okay for him to be like that about this because he's the bad guy,
Well, they make no
right?
bones about that he's horrible.
He's awful, and the fact that that her and Jet form this friendship afterwards, and she's not actually put off by it, even though she knows that it was done more of as a distraction from him, really does say a lot from where this movie's come from. Like it is a movie that was way ahead of its time as far as like the presentation of like strong female leads, and the possibility that our strong female lead might be bisexual.
Yeah,
So
because she even makes the joke about Naomi Watts says, "Oh,
yes,
thanks
that
for
worked.
thanks that worked," and she said, "What worked?" Wink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. um and then okay, so
Yeah, I wrote down that dude that was grossed out by Lori Petty and Naomi Watts and said, "You're the weird one, dude."
he's an absolute fool. Anyhow, uh Tank Girl makes her first escape endeavor. She's creeping around like the tank hangar. I don't know, where do you
Oh.
place you keep tanks? And we get that comic book cut, which actually served a bit here, where she's like in awe of the tank, and there's a really fun joke, but you have to kind of like you catch it, or otherwise it goes by in the blink of an eye. Where it's a comic still of her looking at the tank, the guns on the tank, and the word bubble says, "Oh my god, the sheer size of it."
Oh, well, and she's clearly, like, grinding up against the tank while
Oh,
she's, like,
she loves
climbing
it.
it and
Yeah,
everything, yeah.
she goes all like full on share in that turn back time video.
And I
Just
I gotta
that's a
say too,
reference for all the dads who are listening to this podcast. All you kids, just look it up. I'm not explaining everything to you.
I gotta say too, Nathan, I have a hard time remembering my password sometimes for certain things. If it was if you forgot your password once for Facebook and the resulting infraction was cyanide gas
The
inserted into
room
your home,
fills. Yeah.
I would never forget a password again.
Or I would just never use Facebook.
Well, no, but I mean, like, if that was just passwords in general,
Yeah.
because she gets it wrong once and the thing locks and it's like, now inserting cyanide gas.
Yeah, see, we at least get 3 times before that happens here
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, 3 times, and then the gas comes out of your fucking tower.
That's why you do it twice and then you walk away for a day, because then the clock resets and you can try again.
Right. Right. Or you just set your calendar back. Oh, you can't do that anymore. Damn it.
No. Uh, so while this is happening, we also see that Cressley, yes, I remember this
Kesley.
name. Kesley,
Yeah.
Grumpy McEvil is
Alex DeLarge.
there you go. He's watching this whole thing,
Mhm.
and he sees her get rescued by Jet, and she's like, show me how to work it, and she's like, you can't work it, it's broken. And and he's watching all this, and he's like, oh, she's going to be fun to be broken.
Mhm. 'Cause they
Apparently everybody from all countries moved to Australia during this apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, another reference that they definitely switched out for like something more known to Americans, but Tank Girl says something about like, "Oh, I got to go see Cats," and I'm like, "Yeah, still playing in
Oh,
2033. You weren't
yeah.
far off."
Let's go. Yeah, let's go to New York and see Catch Cats. They, man, is this where it is? They put her in a straitjacket.
Yeah, they put her in a straitjacket because this is where like all the torturing shit starts, and
Oh
she's
no!
very
Hold on, just 1 second. We get that exchange in the bathroom between her, because she shows up and like she's like kind of trying to figure out another escape route. She's like, "Did you miss me?" And then where they're talking, and she's trying to get Naomi Watts' character to kind of come out of her shell, covering up her face when she laughs and stuff like that. And she says, she has that line where she's like, it's kind of like the first time the first time you got laid. You just kind of got to stop, take what's going on, and say, "Dad, do you think this is right?"
Yeah, that
Like,
was something.
but that was a line. I'm not gonna lie. But while she's talking to Naomi Watts about how she wants to try to break out again, they come and they take her and they put her in that straitjacket, which lets her have probably one of the best lines in the movie. When Cressley,
Kesley.
Evil McGrumpy Pants, comes and and she looks up, she looks right in the face, and she's like, it's really hard to play with myself in this thing,
Yeah.
because she's got her arms in the
Well,
straight jacket.
I wrote down too, like this is she's almost doing Deadpool before Deadpool. Like she's
Absolutely, yeah.
quipping the hell out of this thing, especially in these scenes, like where she's really in danger. Like the quipping is coming a lot quicker.
And I think I at the time when this movie came out, or the time that I would have seen it on VHS, which
Mhm.
tells you something. I would have just been really getting into to punk rock and the whole punk attitude and stuff like that. So a lot of the stuff that she's laying out here with, just flipping the finger to authority, even at your absolute own peril, spoke so much to me. There's another reason why I love this movie so much. He's trying to break her.
He puts her
And
in a tunnel that creates weirdly edited flashbacks.
she she does have a before she does that, she does have a line though, which is again more quipping and just perfect, where she goes, you know, because he asks, you know what I see? I see a girl who's, you know, whatever he says to her. And then she's like, you know what I see? And he's like, what? What do you see? She's I see this big honking booger just hanging out the side of your nose, and you should use this finger to pick it out with. And she flips him off, and that's when they put her in the tube that makes her have claustrophobic PTSD flashbacks, I guess.
Like photo negative flashbacks of
Yeah,
like
and she of course
her.
she sees Sam being taken during this, so which at that point lets you know, oh, there's a distinct possibility that this kid's not dead, because why would they introduce her into a flashback unless it's going to lead to something maybe later?
Right.
Although let's talk about Mad Max Fury Road for a second, because that happens and we never get any explanation for it. You have to get by the goddamn comic book to get the explanation for that.
Well, they don't have to
So
do everything in the movie.
I bought the comic book, so
Okay.
it's a good comic
I
book.
just
It really is.
I wrote down that like if they were gonna get her, so because eventually they're like we need to put her into the where the Ripper headquarters are. If they were gonna do that, like why even bother trying to recruit her? Just send her in there.
Well, again, I think the idea again is that they're he's trying to break her,
Yeah.
and the Rippers do like they carry out an attack on one of the outposts, and then of course because of that they kind of find one of their subterranean gates, and there's like the problem is that these things are booby trapped, and we send our own guys in, it's going to kill our guys. And Malcolm McDowell's like, oh, I have the perfect girl for that. And they take her out of the tube again, hoping that she's broken. She is really fucking roughed up. She's looked like she's had a bad time. She's had
Yeah.
a bad time. And she's still smarting off to him to the point where he forgets that he wants to send her in as like a guinea pig, or I guess like a coal mine canary for this Rippergate. And Rippergate also the one of the lesser known scandals of the Nixon administration.
Oh, okay. I thought you were
Uh,
gonna say that was the scandal where for a while people thought Jack Ripper wasn't even killing these prostitutes. He was just bragging about it, and somebody else was actually doing it for him.
oh, hashtag Rippergate.
Yeah.
No, that's, but he forgets about this, and he's gonna shoot her, and she laughs at him and says, "I win."
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, like, if you shoot me, you didn't break me, and you're admitting that you couldn't break me. Even if I'm dead, I win.
Right.
So this quip actually makes him kind of gather his thoughts and realize she's right, and I can't lose. So he gathers his thoughts, and she is now going to be, and I think this is a quote from Captain Lacrosse, who says, "You're going to be like the piece of cheese on the end of a fish hook."
That's
Which,
that's I don't know what's weird about that, Nathan.
which leads me to think he's never gone fishing.
Uh, the, there's a new breed of fish in the post-apocalyptic world, the 2033. They're called ratfish.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they only go
They-
for cheese.
Oh, and they are the natural prey of the catfish.
Right, who are the natural prey of the dogfish, who are the natural prey of the, I don't know, asshole fish.
Okay. But before they can actually full on do this, the Rippers attack and take out like the entire gathering of the water and power people who are there.
Including, we think, Malcolm McDowell, by the way.
Right, because they, and this part here made me actually towards the end of the movie go like, yeah, fucking duh. They shoot her with a locator chip, and he has on his wrist a wristwatch. I'm assuming it's the latest version of the smartwatch,
Sure.
because Apple survived the apocalypse. And it's connected to her heart, and it can track her. And so I'm like, okay, it's on his wristwatch. And even in 95 or 96, when I would have seen this, I go, yeah, but that's probably connected to some central computer as well. She doesn't think this because he's well, she thinks he's dead because we see a severed arm with the watch, and she breaks it, thinking, boop, that's it, that's the end of it. I'm like, No, you have a tracking chip implanted in you. That's not the end of it.
I mean, to be fair,
To be fair,
I don't think she's I mean, she's kind of street smart, but I don't know if she knows a whole lot about that kind of shit.
that's fair because she wants a tank and doesn't even really know how to drive it.
There you go.
Yeah.
But she does meet up with Jet again because Jet comes down on the jet.
Yes. Jet does come down on the jet. Uh, what did you think of her telescopic cigarette holder?
Where did she get it? That's what
She,
I was wondering. She certainly didn't come down. They certainly weren't like, yes, you can have a cigarette holder like as you go down to the Ripper entrance. Like, did one of the soldiers have it? Like, I was confused with that.
and a telescopic one to boot,
It was huge.
right?
Yeah.
And that's how you can smoke and not be near the cigarette and get the stink all over you.
I mean, there's a cigarette holder and then there's a fucking cigarette holder. Like, that was insane.
there was a dude in university with me who had a cigarette holder, and I thought it was like, I'm like, what in the are you doing? Like, because it was like 90, 97, 98 when I was in
Yeah.
university, right? So like the idea of a dude having a cigarette holder at the time was just like, what the fuck is this? I would not bat an eye at it now because that's just the way the world is now. But back then, that was some weird stuff. And coming from rural, like, well, not rural New Brunswick, but small town New Brunswick, seeing some guy with a cigarette holder like Cruella DeVille or some shit, I was like, and then he explained to me, well, it's so he doesn't get nicotine stains and the smoke doesn't stay on his clothes. I'm like, oh, I don't know, all right.
Just thinking that you don't want to get your fingies all yellow.
Or your, I guess is what would it Tommy Hilfiger clothes.
Well, if you smoke it through a cigarette holder, I think that filters out all the cancer too, right?
I don't think that's the case.
I don't know, Nathan.
Agree to disagree. I've done my own research.
We'll have a doctor on next week to discuss.
Yeah. All right. So,
Jet gets bonked on the head by a tank,
yeah.
and she has cartoon vision. That was crazy.
Yes, because Jet, she came in the jet, and Tank Girl was like, "Give me this tank. Put in the security code so I can use the tank," because she totally got cock blocked earlier because the other tank didn't work.
Right.
And so Jet obliges, puts in the security code for her, and that's where we find out she doesn't even know how to drive a tank, but she wants to drive a tank. She's like pulling levers back and forth, she's kicking stuff, and this turns the turret, which bonks a Jet out, and we get I'm assuming what is supposed to be almost like a training montage, or like at the very least like a montage where Tank Girl is supposed to be getting used to the tank controls.
Yeah.
All the stuff that happens in here, I'm guessing was, it's cool. It's very heavy metal, the movie style animation. It's really cool. I'm glad that this happened, as much as I hate to say that, because obviously it messed with the ideas of the guys who wrote the
Yeah,
thing.
I'm not saying like, I'm glad they fucked with the creator's original visions. I'm just kind of surprised at how well it works.
This is
within the movie.
this is not a bad way that, like, this is, like I said, Bob Ross. It's a happy accident.
Yeah.
So that whole thing was supposed to be filmed, and then we go back to Water and Power where Grumpy McEvil. I'm
Yeah,
not
he's
even
not
trying
dead.
anymore.
He's not dead.
He's not dead, but he's got he apparently can't see, because that's what the doctor says. They don't know if they're going to be able to repair his face.
Yeah.
In fact, the chances of him being able to see again are about as likely as his arm growing back.
Yeah, he's wearing that mask from that weird horror movie from the 60s, Eyes Without a Face. Not the Billy Idol song, but there actually is a movie, and it looks exactly like that mask. I would not be shocked if that was a reference, actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
And
He's also, by the way, they also offered to give him some life-saving surgery by a Chinese stereotype that walks in the movie.
well, actually, that's the thing, because the doctor's being all Debbie Downer here, saying that you're not going to see again. You've lost an arm. Your face looks like Dusty Rhodes' forehead. We're not going to be able to really do much of anything for you. James Wong? Is it Wong or Hong?
Is it James Hong that's in this?
Oh yeah, no, it is the
Okay.
dude from
Yeah,
R.I.P.D.
James Hong. Yeah.
James Hong. He's playing the doctor, but he's playing the doctor, but he's speaking in Mandarin or Cantonese,
Yeah.
whichever dialect he speaks. So, in the movie, I was like, this is really kind of cool for a movie like this to do this. He gets to speak the native tongue, and they use like a translating modulator that's like on his neck, like on like almost like a tie clip or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's basically saying, we'll be able to do this. He's like some sort of like, it's an experimental surgery or experimental procedure, like you said. And he wants 100,000 liters of water.
Yep.
That's his price, because apparently water is currency now too.
And hilariously, okay, this scene made me laugh because Malcolm McDowell, obviously he can't see anything right now, but
Mhm.
he
He looks
says,
around like he does quite a few times, which is an
yeah.
unfortunate betrayal
So he
of
does,
reality.
and then he seemingly signals to his guy to kill the other doctor and take her body water. But like the
Yep.
funny thing is, he says like he says something like as if he expects it to happen. But like, what if the dude did it and then Malcolm McDowell was like, where's the doctor?" And he's like, "Well, I took her body water." It's like, no, hold on a second. I
I
didn't.
wanted you to pat her on the back.
Yeah, I'm gonna need 2 doctors for this, dude. Do you have a medical degree? Fuck, I hire the worst people.
get me some get me some display glass to crash so I can make him walk across, then kill him and take his water.
Exactly. Like, it's like, "I
Um
need a doctor for the operation," like, "More than 1 doctor, you fuck?"
we then cut to Tank Girl and Jet Girl roaming around an abandoned amusement park, which we only get to see the exterior of the abandoned amusement park as an art card.
Mhm.
And this is where, and she never gets named. I don't know if they were thinking that there was gonna be sequels. I'm assuming maybe they thought there was gonna be
I
sequels.
mean,
I
I don't
don't
think they would
know.
have said no to the idea.
I don't. I wouldn't. That's for goddamn sure. But we meet a character who who's not named, but is known as Subgirl. So
Okay,
she has like a little mini one, like a one person, like not unlike Gamera versus Virus,
okay.
where the kids had the little sub. Right.
Right. They stole it and they
Uh.
shouldn't have been driving it, I get it.
Right. Right. They just change the battery diodes from positive to negative, and that makes everything go in reverse.
And this girl thinks that because Tank Girl and Jet are wearing like the water power outfits they stole from a couple of dead bodies, and
Right.
the other girl thinks that they're working for water power, and then when it's revealed they're not, she's like, "Oh shit, I'll tell you everything then." Fuck.
Not before she gets bonked on the head with a fish.
Right. Which
With that bonk sound,
don't know how
which
that hurts, but okay.
out of place in Silent Rage, perfectly in place in this
Oh,
movie.
but hilarious in Silent Rage.
Yes, also, yes.
Ching.
um uh we after some weird, like some slight interrogation where Naomi Watts has a voice, I don't know, a voice reader that can tell if you're lying just by the fluctuations in your voice.
By the way, that never comes into play later.
No,
That could have been used so many times through this
right?
movie. I imagine she used it once on this girl and she's like, "Well, this thing's outlived its use. Yoink."
I mean, they could have used it several times in the next scene,
Oh
be-
man.
because we find out that poor
Oh.
Sam is still alive, and this is the reason why that Tank Girl knows that Sam is still alive is because Subgirl has a not only the bust of the Ripper that Sam carved, but also a bust of Doris Day that she had not yet carved for Tank Girl. So
Yeah.
she's like, "What happened to the girl that had these things?" And they're like, "Oh, they put her to work at what is it? Liquid Silver, which is
Mhm.
apparently a strip club slash brothel."
A strip club slash brothel where apparently you can also get like underage prostitutes.
Well, and here's the thing: it doesn't sound like this is necessarily the norm, but it's something that you can get.
Now I
Because when
wonder.
we first see Sam, she's working in the laundry,
Yeah.
right? But then Iggy Pop shows up and he wants the schoolgirl experience, but like wink with the real thing.
Does he say
And
that?
he
I thought
doesn't.
he.
No, he
Okay.
doesn't say that. I'm just saying that because he played the character
Well, my
that did
question
that.
though, my question is though, he says he wants the schoolgirl experience, and then the girls are talking about it, and then she says, "Oh, go get the 10-year-old." I'm like, wait, maybe he just wanted the schoolgirl experience. It doesn't mean he
Yeah,
wants to fuck a kid. Like,
no, it's one of the girls says that to the madam because we meet the madam and they do like a card an art card cut. I'm assuming that this character, I never read the comics, in which shame on me, but I'm assuming that she is also kind of more of a more prominent villain within that I don't know comic universe, kind of like not only the Saints from the Punisher movie, but also like Ma Nucci and Jigsaw and all them. They all have bigger parts to play within that comics universe. I'm
mhm.
assuming that the Madam here does as well. The Madam, of course, says, "Go get Sam," like you said, and one of them says, doesn't she say she's just a girl? And she's like, "Oh, not for long." Like she's so sly and not horrendous. But Sam, not to be undone, and I'm only doing these back to back because there's a lot of jumping around that happens here because there's a lot of different characters in a lot of different places we're doing a lot of different things. So let's just tackle Sam here for a second because she gets taken from the laundry. The next time we see her, she's being dragged through the fucking liquid silver by Iggy Pop in an. I don't know if was he credited.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, because I know
Yeah.
he's got a tune on the soundtrack. That might have been how they kind of got him. It's like I almost feel like that's how that goes with Iggy Pop. It's like, we want to use one of your songs in the movie. You gotta find a cameo for me, pal.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you want it when people wanted to film at Trump Plaza.
Yeah, but Iggy Pop less gross.
Well, I will say,
I mean, still super grimy, but way less gross. All right, so he's dragging her through liquid silver, and he's like, "Come on, you little girl, don't make me tell you." I'm like being like really creepy, and she's like, "Please, mister, don't take my silver. It's all that I got." He's like, "Oh, what you got?" And he opens up her lunch bag and takes out the ball that Lori Petty gave him earlier, and the little girl gives him the clap.
that sounds horrible, Nathan.
But let me explain. She
Okay.
claps her hands, and this
Uh,
activates the ball, which basically ruins his fapping hand for a good long while, as he deserves. And she even says that's what you get for being a perv.
that was a
And
harrowing scene, by the way,
it
because it
was
was
because
almost going to be an
the
underage
worst.
sex scene,
Yeah,
a rape. Let's just say it.
let's just say it. Let's call it what it is.
But
Yeah.
Tank Girl swoops in and saves her and says,
Oh
"Hey,
no, she
that's no way
doesn't.
to treat
Sam,
the
let's
customer."
be fair. Sam saves herself in that situation.
Well, Tank Girl takes her out of the situation.
Takes her out of. She said she's gonna take her out of the brothel.
Yeah.
Now it was at this point in the movie where I'm pretty sure Lori Petty has changed her hairstyle and color conservatively 25 times.
I think in the future, hair dye works in like 10 minutes.
You think it's like what was the movie where there was a girl who was like painting her nails, but she was just touching them and they were changing color.
Oh God, I don't know.
It's like Demolition Man or one of those ones where it's set in the future, and the receptionist is at the place, and she's just touching her fingernails, and they're changing to the color that she wants. Maybe that's how hair works in this water bereft but apparently super technologically advanced post apocalypse.
Yeah, it's like when you use paint and you have that like fill option, and you just click it once, and the
Right.
whole thing is
The
green,
whole
right?
thing fills up, and God forbid if you have one broken portion of that line, it's filling the
God
entire screen.
damn it.
Undo, zoom in, click. Anyhow,
R.I.P.
uh,
MS Paint.
Yeah, now it's like what, Paint 3D?
Something stupid. Something.
Yeah.
It's not like it used to be, man.
Yeah, right, man. Not like back in the 90s, man.
Yeah, everything was so much better. Um, so, and Tank Girl, yeah. So they get out of the situation, and then Tank Girl holds the madam at hostage, and she makes a comment about like, "I'm gonna scrape off all your makeup. That's gonna take a while." And I'm like, "Okay, Tank Girl, back up a little bit. You have no grounds to say that someone's wearing a ton of makeup."
And there's is this the
This is the song.
oh, see, no, I'm yeah, it's because I streamlined the whole thing. I ran past Tank Girl getting all of her stuff, the head chopping scene, which I mean we knew that was going to happen anyways because the James Hong is his experimental procedure was in like holographic yada yada yada. Doesn't matter. Let's get to the musical number. She makes the madam sing "Let's Do It" by Cole Porter. If she doesn't do it, she's gonna like start giving her the old Brutus the Barber Beefcake cut.
And at this point, I said, I wonder if this was like the last scene they filmed and they ran out of money and this is the only song they could afford. Like, it's not nothing again. Like, I think this is a hilarious, like, ridiculous scene, but it's like, I bet you they wanted something like, I don't know. I feel like they wanted something more of the time or more like popular, I guess. I mean, I know the song obviously, but it does feel like, oh, well, it's in the public domain. Let's grab it.
I don't know. See, there because there's the line later when we find Captain Lacrosse is listening in, and he hears it, and he's like, "What is that?" And one of the guards is like, "I think it's Cole Porter, sir."
Yeah. I don't know. Just something about it. It just seemed like a last minute like, oh shit, this is all we can get now.
But you think about it, she's zany and she loves Doris Day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think
Maybe.
there's an argument to be made there that she is a manic pixie girl with an old soul.
There's also an argument to be made where they should have probably just escaped. Rather than stood there.
Possibly, but then we
musical
would have been denied this. I mean, would you want to? Is that a world you want to live in where we're denied this?
I mean, listen, you just saved a 10-year-old girl from a place where she was about to be forced to have sex with an adult, and you stopped to be like, maybe we should just have a musical number. So Sam gets kidnapped again.
Yep.
And then the
Oh, and we get that. I'm sorry. This movie is. I have to compare the line said in desperation, "Sam." I have to hold it up to Samuel L. Jackson's saying of it in Long Kiss Goodnight. Which would you say is better?
I don't remember the line in Long Kiss Goodnight.
Oh, where he's like Sam as he's trying to drive the car to help save her.
I thought you were going to compare it with the line in oh god, help me out, Patrick Swayze defending Red Dawn. I thought you were going to compare it to Red Dawn when Charlie Sheen was like, "Daddy,
Daddy."
Of which case, I'm sorry, Charlie Sheen wins that battle.
Charlie Sheen wins that, but if we're comparing Sam's, though, I'm guessing maybe that you would probably say you would have to go with this one because this is the more recent one.
Yeah, I don't remember the other movie that much. I mean, again, these are two movies I feel like you've seen many times. I've seen this
a lot, like a fucking lot, both of them.
I've seen this maybe twice, and I know I've only seen the other movie once. So for this podcast.
So yeah, they kidnap Sam, and what's this here? Oh, they go in search of another Ripper subgate.
Yeah, because
which they kind of stumble upon.
Tank Girl's like, you know what? Maybe we should just try to get them to help us. And Jed is like, I don't know if that's such a great idea considering that they've wiped out entire armies, but okay, let's give it a shot.
Yeah. And let's look for 2 rocks in the desert. That'll be where the subgate is, because that's where Subgirl said it was. I think they call her Rain Woman or something.
Boy, oh boy, do they find these Rippers, Nathan. And what would you say the Rippers are?
They're Kangaroo men.
They're Kangaroo men. And
actually, no, sorry. You know what I would also say they are? Lombax.
Okay.
That's what Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank. That's
Oh,
his alien species. They are
gotcha.
Lombax because not only they can jump quite a bit. They're adept at combat, and we see them several times wearing different types of armor that are molded to their shape. I'm just saying these are the Lombax, and that the folks, as much as I love the Ratchet and Clank games, know they owe at least a quarter to the creators of Tank Girl.
And I owe my life to the person who decided to cast Ice-T as a kangaroo man with a do-rag.
Uh,
That
as an
was
ex cop, so is this a Law and Order Special Victims Unit sequel,
yeah.
or
After
is Law and
he
Order Special Victims Unit a Tank Girl prequel?
well, the special victims unit, well, either way, but either way, he went around special victims uniting it for a while, and then eventually someone turned him into a kangaroo.
No, because when they're talking about the idea of these, these kangaroo men, the Rippers, one of
Who
them
also really
says
like baseball.
they say that they're reincarnates. That the guy who almost is like the de facto leader was a reincarnation of Jack Kerouac.
Right.
Uh, and but when Ice Cube, I don't know, I think
Ice-T.
Ice T, sorry, Ice T.
Oh,
Yeah, although that would have been amazing
oh man, if Ice-T and Ice Cube were in
as
this,
Rippers, right?
kangaroos.
As Kangaroo Men,
Oh.
delightful. Anyways, when they ask Ice T what he used to be, he's like, I was a cop. So, is this a situation where Finn Tutuola, the character from Law and Order Special Victims Unit, a cop, dies at some point before this apocalypse and is reincarnated as this Ripper?
Yes.
Good. Glad we could suss that one out.
And by the way, the kangaroo people are, I think, even bigger perverts than any of the other guys we've seen so far.
Now, I guess, okay, so I have to
It's
kind of,
deeply upsetting.
well, but also in fairness, or to be fair,
To be fair,
I'm living. You can say it. To be fair, these, I mean, they were kind of raised in seclusion. Anything that they would have taught, they were taught by their creator Johnny Prophet, who then left them. So they're left to kind of try to figure out, you know, societal behaviors, and if they are really kind of tuned into the people that they were reincarnated from, all they're going off of are the memories of these people who would have been alive pre-apocalypse.
but for us as the viewers, it's still a bunch of kangaroos
They
wanting
are
to fuck
kangaroo men.
human
Yes.
females.
Yes.
And they have a debate there for a while, and if they're going to kill these women or not. And then
or do worse things to
or do
them.
worse things. And then I think I don't even remember how do they turn them around by saying like they could do a recon mission for them essentially.
Yeah, they want them because Water and Power is receiving a shipment
Right.
at some place, and they want them to go out and do some reconnaissance and get pictures and of what it is that they're moving. The girls do go on their reconnaissance mission, and they kind of they start getting like what pictures. Oh,
Tank
can't.
Girl cheekily takes a picture of her own underwear, and the kangaroos
Yes.
just about cream in their fucking pouches.
I don't blame them.
But it's just underwear. It's not even like I don't know. Anyway,
you're talking about. I mean, you're talking about a group of dudes who apparently are heterosexual and have been surrounded by nothing but dudes their entire life. So
I think eventually something's going to
ladies
break
undies
down.
might do it.
Some of them are going to find out they're not actually heterosexual.
And if this were, again, like as we said before, if this were made today, Lori Petty's character would be a lot more bisexual or pansexual, which we kind of get at later. There's a distinct possibility that the Rippers have been any port in the storming it. Uh, I'm just saying.
Anything with
Uh,
I think anything with a hole, they've been fucking. Let's just put it
right.
that way.
Exactly. Uh, I love the scene where they were kind of interrogating them before they went on this reconnaissance mission, and they're like, you know, uh, who sent you to spy on us? How much are they paying you? And she's like, $2.15. Love that. They did say like Ice-T at one point, his character says that they've got water and power logos all over them, but at this point they're not wearing any of the water and power stuff.
No,
So continuity error.
they just got that water and power look, you know.
Yeah, this movie
That wop 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 wop.
goes from a perfect 10 to a 9.9 because
Oh
of
wow, damn.
that.
Sorry, Letterbox.
What are you gonna do? So they go on their reconnaissance mission, and you did make mention that they're sending back photos.
Yeah.
Lori Petty sends back a picture of her undies, but there's also like a Ripper pinup girl in the corner of their UI on their whatever it is that they're receiving these information from.
Who is
I was
that?
like, I don't know. I'm guessing that was made out of what they idealized a woman to be, because
I think one of them dressed up.
possibly, you think?
I
Is
think
this a situation where there are other Ripper colonies about, but these guys are like a cloistered monastery, like holy Rippers, if you will,
so they're just
that
like priests that
worship
fart.
John Stamos,
Oh well, I mean, why
and
wouldn't
that's
you?
why they chose the name the Rippers, because they wanted to be Jesse Katsopolis' backup band.
I mean,
And
John
all they
Stamos.
do is watch Full House and Never Too Young to Die on a loop.
I mean, John Stamos, famously known as one of the people on Full House that wasn't arrested IRL.
That's fair. That is fair. It's weird that Candace Cameron Bure shot all those people.
Right? It's so strange. But their recon mission, they eventually have to go down there because their pictures are not great, and they pretend that they're shooting
Actually,
a
no.
sexy
They-
men of
Yes.
water and power
That was
calendar.
brilliant. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, because there's like all the other guys. There's like one guy who's actually fit in this entire set, this entire scene. The rest of them are all schlubs. And he's the one guy who's like, I don't know how the director didn't stop and go, you know what? You're too in shape. Get central casting on the line. I need a Lovitz or a Goodman at least.
Goodman just comes just to do this one thing.
Hey, how's it going? I'm gonna pose for it.
I also think Lori Petty is doing a Madonna in this whole scene, right?
I don't know. She's doing a Madonna, but I think she's just doing a a stereotypical fashionista yuppie character.
For me, it was the thing she was wearing over her head and the blonde hair poking through and like the long cigarette. It just, I don't know. It felt like she was going for a very specific
That's
impression.
fair.
I
mean, you make some good points, because
and it's
there is
90s, right? That's 90s Madonna.
Right, because at one point she's wearing a bra that looks like missiles, which was on point for Madonna in the 90s.
Yeah, and a little insight into my state of mind as I watched this movie, because as I talked to Nathan before we started this podcast, I thought Lori Petty was a singer this whole time. So I'm watching this movie and I'm like, oh, that's a fun little nod to a fellow singer Madonna. But apparently Lori Petty is just an actor.
Yeah.
As if that's like a terrible thing to be. And yeah, she's not even a singer. So I remember watching this movie. The only thing I remember about watching this movie being like, oh, cool, it stars a singer. Let's see how this goes. But no, she's not a singer at all. I don't know why I thought that. Maybe I'm I'm conflating Tom Petty and Lori Morgan.
I mean, she definitely does have she does have that aesthetic to her, especially like at this point in her life. She could have absolutely been like the lead singer of like an L7 Veruca Salt type character, like band.
Yeah.
That girl power band, or GRRRL power band.
Girl.
Yep.
Yep.
And like the Donnas, like I said, L7, actually L7 and Veruca Salt both have. I almost said Fairuza Balk, but Veruca Salt um,
Different
have
people.
have have songs on the soundtrack as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so they say, you know what? Ice-T's character says, you know what? That's not enough. You need to actually capture the shipment. And it's at this point where they go full on Fury Road. Like, no kidding. Like, Lori Petty's in the tank, and
Girl.
Tank Girl is in the tank, and she is jumping on and off of this semi truck. Read war rig. She's trying to get in so she can drive the thing. And it's at that point I noted, you know what? This story about Furiosa's mom is awesome. I mean, let's really think about it. Driving a war rig. All right, and not only her tank, but also stealing like a semi truck. Short cropped hair. Rebels against authority.
Listen, Nathan, there's
It's
still
in
time.
Australia.
I don't know if it's already filmed, but there is a Furiosa movie coming out. Guys, don't pussy out. Make Tank Girl her mom.
At George Miller, like, do not stop. I don't care if he's like 1,000 years old and probably doesn't have Twitter. At him as much as you can, any way, shape.
Hashtag
write
him.
a letter. Write a letter. Put pen to paper. Go to your post office. Get some postage stamps and mail a lovingly handcrafted letter to George Miller insisting that Lori Petty play the mother of Furiosa.
I mean, a handcrafted letter worked on Tom Hanks, so you never know.
Yep. It was a delightful typewriter.
It was. They do successfully, by the way, get this stuff off the truck, and then the rest of the truck goes careening off the cliff.
Oh, that was a great shot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then Booga, not Booger.
Right.
It, I thought it was Booger several times, and then when I was looking at the cast, I was like, oh, it's Booga.
Yeah,
the way
it's not Curtis Armstrong.
Yeah, the way they say it sounds like you're the guy from Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah.
He swoops in to save her at the last moment. You know, that's cool because that's what they have. This is, I guess, their meet cute.
I don't.
I mean, I don't think that they did it.
I think that they did.
It's very post-coital.
It's very post-coital, and
they're not naked when it happens. In fact, this is the scene where she's wearing those giant Madonna torpedo boob bra.
Yeah.
So like she's actually more dressed than she was before that. But it's definitely it's very cuddly, pillow talky type moments because they're looking at like a painting that's on the wall and they're talking about the beauty of it, and the water's just flowing down and nobody's needing anything. And it's really, I need to impress my chick with how worldly I am type of talk.
Well, and let's not negate the fact too that this is like a weird kangaroo dance party. There's some beat poetry from the Jack Kerouac Kangaroo.
That's great.
By the way, we also learned that they're totally against guns. Yes, Ice-T, the former cop, is against guns. That is the least believable thing about this movie.
The former cop and former Crip member. Just gonna put that out there.
Former Crip member.
Pretty sure I thought him and Snoop Dogg were actually in.
Oh, Ice-T legit. I was like, did they mention
realsies.
that in the movie?
No. Just the person for realsies.
I was a former cop, and also I used to be in the Crips.
Which, I mean, that's not a bad character arc for somebody's movie at some point.
Sure. But what I was going to mention is when they're having this kangaroo dance party, one of the kangaroos says, "Come on, dance with me," to like Naomi Watts. And then she's kind of hesitant, and he says, "That's okay. I have condoms." What the fuck are you talking about?
And then he starts humping her.
He started humping her, like dry humping, which was really weird. But like, what?
See, that part was off-putting until you're watching what Lori Petty's doing, and she turns around. She's like dry humping Booga.
This whole thing,
which makes you think the whole
Oh.
that whole conversation that we talked about a minute ago, because that actually happens after this. That's where you think this whole conversation is post-coital, because she is absolutely like grinding on his kangaroo man tail.
Oh, it's so so upsetting.
Sure is, June.
And then, I mean, it is. It is. It's very strange. And then they start opening the boxes that they took off the truck, and they find Johnny Prophet's dead body. I've got a question, because they say, "Oh, they lured us in. They lured us in." So they knew that the kangaroos were gonna steal that, and so they put the dead body of their former leader in one of the boxes.
I just to stick it up their butts, I
But how
guess.
did they know all that was gonna happen? Like, that was the villains took a real big guess.
Yeah.
Like, and they tried to stop them. The people in the truck tried to stop them from stealing the shipment.
Yeah, you'd think if that was part of the plan, they would have been like, "Oh no! Oh well, I better jump out." No.
It's like when I watch the movie Basic and the twist comes, and I'm like, "Oh, come the fuck on!" So you anticipated all of that was gonna happen just for this stupid gotcha moment.
Law-abiding citizen.
Oh my god! Yeah, yeah, yeah. So much had to happen for that to work right.
So
Oh my god.
they let out their Ripper howl because they're upset old poor Johnny Prophet has died, and they formulate a plan. Well, Lori Petty formulates a plan, and Ice-T takes umbrage to this, as he's like, "What? We're listening to her now? No, we're supposed to be a committee. Let's vote on this." And then one of them goes, "Okay, everybody in favor of listening to her?" And like everybody puts their hand up. Majority, let's go.
I actually thought he was gonna turn on them at some point because he
That would
kept
have,
getting
yeah,
downvoted.
yeah. But I mean, there's a really good part later where he actually does like, okay, fine, do your thing.
How did they not, by the way, have any scene where the song was "Tie me kangaroo down, sport, tie me kangaroo down"?
I think it would have been a little too on the nose.
Yeah, because God knows this movie is subtle.
Everybody kind of gets outfitted. The girls get like earpieces so they can hear everybody. And then we find out that the Rippers have like super excellent hearing, to the point where they're like, just talk in a westerly direction, we'll hear you.
Mhm.
Fast forward to them actually executing the plan, where several times Naomi Watts is misheard. Somebody says, "What did she just say?" Well, they are like 2 feet away from her, and again, more things that are misheard, which almost bungles the entire them covertly getting into water and power.
Well, yeah, they're in the same vehicle, and Naomi Watts is trying to tell the kangaroo like what to say on the radio to the villains when they're radioing in, and he fucks up every single line.
Yeah, and there's even, like I said, there's even I don't know if it was Ice T or if it was DT. He's the fellow who was Dr. Storm. It says, "What did she say?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, she's sitting in front of you. You guys are supposed to be able to hear everything from miles away in a westerly direction, but you can't hear the girl sitting in front of you in the passenger seat in the cockpit.
But it does allow for Naomi to get on the radio because she's frustrated with the whole thing and call the villains a sperm sucker,
Yes.
which I was like, well, that's a visual.
And she also does, this is where she also reads Ice-T's character, the Riot Act, and he's like, all right, cool, do your thing.
Yeah. Their big plan at this point is like one of the kangaroos just fucking jumps for it. Just fucking
Yeah.
jumps for the switch and obviously gets shot the hell up. And they're like, oh my God, you actually got killed. I was like, yeah, no shit, dude. You just like hopped, did it, and then got shot because you had you had nothing. What other result did you think was going to happen?
And they get into the facility, and
Who is it that dies, by the way? Is it the Jack Kerouac kangaroo that
is
dies?
the Kerouac
Okay.
character who unfortunately he dies shortly after the
Kangarooac?
DT.
Kerouacaroo?
I think his name is DT.
Yeah, okay.
Anyways, which which weird, if he knows that he's reincarnated of Kerouac, how is he not calling himself Kerouac?
I don't.
Anyhow, they start kind of laying out going over again the floor plan, or the idea of what the ground assault's going to look like, and they say you go down there like, oh, it's really bright. We're more nocturnal. In fact, we work better in the dark. Like Count Chocula. And Ice-T's character corrects Booga and says, "It's Dracula." And the one of them across the way is, yeah, Count Chocula is the guy on the detergent box. It's hilarious. Trust me, folks. It's seek this movie out. You have to. It's so much fun. Um,
Yeah.
and okay, so all the while that they're getting in with the jet and going over their plan and stuff like that, Lori Petty's character is just going like just full on balls to the wall tank girl mayhem. She's blowing stuff up. She's breaking things. Of course, she gets captured because of it. And this is where uh, Evil McGrumpy says, I've heard what you've been saying the entire time, and he plays like back one of the recordings, and she's like, oh, Jet was working for you the entire time. He's like, no, you were. We implanted microphones and transmitters all over your body. I'm like, yeah, you were awake when he shot one into your leg. How did you not see this coming?
And we get the reveal of Malcolm McDowell now because he has a hologram head, and he has like that weird strong arm thing.
Yeah, he's got like this weird, like, I don't know, bionic shredder arm.
Yeah, not
And
like Ninja Turtle shredder, guys.
No, that's what I was going for, but it's bionic.
Oh.
Like
I
if
thought
the
you meant
shredder was, the shredder had like his forearm with a metal plate in it, like Lex Luger or wrestling reference got it in.
Got it.
That's what his arm would look like.
Yeah, it it would be so stupid if that gimmick with Lex Luger hitting people with his forearm, and people always being like, well, how is he knocking people out with his forearm? If he had a very visible shredder arm and he was knocking people out with the forearm, and the commentators were still like, I don't know how he's doing that. Why do people keep getting knocked out with that move? There's been dumber things in wrestling.
There's way dumber thing in wrestling. Look up the gobbledygooker.
Tank Girl took him down and did like a Billy Crystal level Muhammad Ali impression there for a while.
Oh shit. I'm so pretty. I'm gonna hit you so hard. Your kids will be born with bruises.
Thankfully, she doesn't go the full Billy Crystal Muhammad Ali impression, but she does. She does do the voice at least.
Right. I mean, even in '95, kudos for them to knowing where to draw the line.
Yeah. In '85, they did not.
No. So anyhow, we've also find out that Evil McGrumpy has put Sam in the very same tube that that Tank Girl was in earlier, but he has also started slowly filling it with water so as to slowly drown her. So slowly, in fact, with all the time that passes between when he puts her in the tube and puts the water to it, and when he is finally vanquished by Tank Girl, and Tank Girl can get her, the water is still nowhere near her nose or mouth.
Nope, it is not. It's very not very anticlimactic. But
yes, it is very not climactic. That's
not climactic.
Not
it's the definition. You know what I'm saying. My favorite part of this whole scene, though, is I swear to God, her tank shows up at one point, and she has a conversation with it.
It's got smart AI.
It's
like,
sentient because she says something, and it
shoot
shakes
him.
It shakes
and
his
it
head.
Can't.
No.
Yeah, it shakes the turret. No, and she's like, don't tell me you're out of ammo. Up and down with the yes.
By the way, there was never another point in the movie where this happened. This is at minute like 98 of 104.
And I think of the fact that like she's had this tank like for a good portion of this movie. I feel that if this tank could have been a character, this movie would have went from great to stellarly amazing.
Yeah, it was like the voice of John Goodman. There you go. You get him.
No voice, just communicating with the turret.
Well, then
back and forth, up and down.
Nathan, I think you know who would do the voice if that was the case.
Yes, I'm out of ammunition. Just fill me up with some beer, and I'll be more than glad to shoot Malcolm McDowell.
Oh no! I wasn't even thinking of Gilbert. I was thinking of Mr. Frank Welker.
He doesn't need to be on this episode, although I'm pretty sure he's probably on this episode. Because
Hey
there's a
guys,
point
just give
where...
it real quick to say, hey, Welker
Get
out.
the fuck out of here, Welker!
Call me if you need a
Asshole.
voice.
I don't!
You know.
I'm checking to see if he was in this movie now.
I don't think he was.
Because there's a point where the yak goes, which
could
sounds
be
like
Frank
something
Welker.
they would hire Welker for. Oh, Doug Jones was in this thing as an additional Ripper.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Oh, yeah. Special vocal effects. Tank Girl.
God damn it! Welker!
So, okay. Fine. Welker was in it. So
Okay,
yeah,
so-
so the tank thing happens, and then most satisfying moment, though, is Naomi Watts shoots fucking Duke Lacrosse.
Oh, yeah. And
And
it was at this point, and I hadn't noticed this the entire movie.
Mhm.
I'm looking at this guy, and I'm like, he looks like something or somebody, like, eh. And then it was in this moment where he has that line, and he has that look on his face, and I was like, fuck, he's what you get if you order Bill Paxton on Wish. If he had just said it's game over, man, I would have been like, that's who he's supposed to be. It's not
Right.
Bill Paxton, but he looks like Bill Paxton.
If only they remade Alien, but with rippers. But yeah, she shoots him in the head, and then like maybe the sexiest moment in the whole movie, I'm not even joking, is she does the little like blows the smoke out of the gun. I was like, yep, yep,
because he says fuck me, and she's like, for the last time, I don't want to.
yeah, bang, little gun moment, and she gives a little hair flip to the camera. I was like, damn, Naomi Watts.
Okay, so they've vanquished Evil McGrumpy.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Duke Lacrosse has been killed.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, a bunch of like water and power guys descend upon Sam and Tank Girl, and you think, oh, okay, well, the leader's dead, but these guys are just gonna keep doing their thing. It's when we find out that the Rippers have taken the facility and are now in control, and they took the bullets from their guns and stuff like that, and we cut to an animated end scene.
Where I think more kangaroo human sex happens.
Possibly.
And
And again, a slapper of an end credits, because like if you watch it all the way to the end, it's all great music all the way to the end, including She Carries a Big Gun by Ice-T.
I did hear that tune. Actually, I think that plays in the movie.
It plays in the movie as well as
Because
over the credits.
I've said it before on this podcast, but it always like weirds me out just a little bit when you watch a movie where like a singer shows up as a character and then you hear like their song playing. It's just like,
Well, how's about when a director directs a movie and constantly references his past material?
Nathan is of course referring to the new Michael Bay film Ambulance.
I mean, Ambulance.
Alains.
Ambulance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we could talk about that one probably. We'll see.
Yeah, bro.
We'll see.
I mean, even if it ends up being fresh, it's still fucking bonkers.
It's nuts. It's crazy.
Yeah. But that's Tank Girl. You're not going to hear me crumple these. These notes are getting framed and laminated, and I'm going to submit them to the Library of Congress, even though I'm Canadian. So that was Tank Girl, and so Brendan.
Come on, worth a watch.
This is absolutely worth a watch. There's no two ways around it. This movie, if you have not seen Tank Girl, see Tank Girl.
It's insane. It's crazy. It's funny.
All
it's
the best
weird.
ways.
It's disturbing. It's sexual. It's violent. It's everything.
Yeah, everything you could hope for in a George Miller movie that's not a George Miller movie.
Yeah.
Okay, well there we go. That's an easy one. Resounding. That's the word I'm looking for. A resounding endorsement from both Brendan and myself. Tank Girl, check it out. Worth a watch. So with all that being said, we're gonna take a break. pay some bills, all that sort of stuff. But don't go anywheres. Or as they used to say when things had dials, don't touch that dial.
What were they thinking?
And we are back. Do. And
Yeah. Mhm.
in the
Yeah.
in the spirit of Jack Kerouac, as well as
Jack
NPR,
Kangarooac.
right? DT, as his friends know him.
Uh-huh.
Welcome to the Low Haiku. This is a portion that's been long going, but it really does fit with the inclusion of Jack Kerouac being sort of tenuously associated with this movie.
We don't ever have to say what movie this segment started on.
Brennan, what is the low haiku?
The low haiku definitely didn't originate when we talked about the movie Pearl Harbor, but it's 17 perfect syllables, where we break down the movie we just spent a lot more than 17 syllables discussing.
And I will let you go first. But in the spirit again of Jack Kerouac, I will provide a baseline, something that we don't normally do.
Okay, perfect. Let Tank Girl be gay. Okay. No romantic lead. Fucking Kangaroo.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you. I will do the same for you.
Oh, I appreciate it. That is what I appreciate about you. Is this a great flick? Or is it the greatest one? I think the latter. Thank you. And with that, we are on the road, Jack.
That's the copyright protected version of "Hit the Road, Jack." On the road, Jack. Ba-doop, ba-deep, boop, ba-doop, ba-da-boop, ba-da-boop, bop, boop.
Well, you know what? I hesitate to do this because I really feel you should, but we don't really like to tell folks how to live their lives.
Live your best
so
life.
much, right? Exactly. And so much so that we are often known for saying something here at What Were They Thinking? And what is that thing that we are actually known for saying, Brendan?
Well, the thing that we are known for saying is...
Don't take a word for us.
That's right. But like I said before, absolutely. I mean, if you haven't seen this movie, go check it out. Take our word for it. But of course, if we did that, we wouldn't have this long ensconced tradition on our show, which is, of course, don't take our word for it. Brendan, we kind of touched on the idea, like, why are we talking about this movie? It's great. And then I was like, well, some critics and their heads up their asses and things. I was being a little facetious, possibly, maybe. I was just maybe making that dude to make jest. What did the critics indeed think of Tank Girl?
Well, now I will say it's rotten, but it's not awful, considering this movie was not well received really by anyone at the time. But 40% of the critics liked it.
Okay.
The audience, however, it is barely fresh. 63% of the audience dug it.
Does seem low with considering how great this movie is.
Yeah. Again, like I said, I think it was a thing where it's seen a little bit of critical reappraisal. Yeah. So I think it's slowly changed. Like, I think if you put this to a modern review test, I think that would go up a little bit. I'm not saying it'd be like 95, but I think more positive for sure.
Okay.
But if you like this movie, Nathan,
Mhm.
I don't know if you like this movie or not, but if you like it,
Love this movie.
you might like. I think this has come up before. You might like The Quick and the Dead.
I did.
By the way, Sam, I don't know, but you know this guy's little known fact. Sam Raimi's got a new little indie movie in theaters right now. Check it out, Doctor Strange 2.
If you like Sam Raimi movies, if you like Disney Plus Marvel stuff, don't. From what I've been told,
Oh, I've heard it's really good.
it's really, from what I hear, it's really good too. But there's a lot of people who are griping that it's too much like a Sam Raimi movie.
Oh
I'm like,
well, I knew that.
it's a fucking Sam Raimi movie.
I knew that going in. They gave him free reign. He's Sam
Mm.
Raimi. But you might also like A Low Down Dirty Shame, which has a staggering 4% critic and 71 audience.
I did enjoy that back in the day.
The Accidental Spy.
I think I may have enjoyed that. Possibly.
Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
I haven't seen that.
And of course, Red Sonja.
Oh, the Conan spin-off, or should I say bin off, because you want to put it right in the bin. The dustbin.
Oh
which
no,
is
my
UK jargon for garbage.
my computer's shutting down. Oh no.
Can you delay it?
No, I was joking.
Oh.
Because you were making that joke, and I was like, "Oh no, my computer!"
Fucking trip me out, man. That shit could really happen.
That's true.
That's not cool.
I should have made it more obvious. Let's get into the critics' reviews. I'm going to start off with Bruce Dion's of the New Yorker, and Bruce says Lori Petty does her tough talking best to breathe some life into the comic book action, but it's not enough. Negative.
False. Well, I'm gonna lead strong with a chap I haven't had the opportunity to talk recently, because a lot of the movies he just hasn't covered. But Ken Hankey of the Mountain Express out of Asheville, North Carolina, he writes, a lot more fun than you'd think. 3 out of 5. It's a positive review.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Well, I think it's safe to say that Roger Ebert is your boy, and Ken Hankey's like my boy, even though I don't know anything about his work.
I think we know a lot more about him than we did before we started this podcast.
This is true. This is true.
Okay, let's see here. Let's go with Cezanne Kohler of Black Girl Nerds, who says, with climate change going unchecked and drinking water shortages abounding, Tank Girl predicted a totally possible post-apocalypse scenario. That's a 4 out of 5.
Okay. Christopher Null of Film Critic.
They could say Christopher Nolan.
Well, Christopher, it's great. It inspired all my Batman trilogy.
See this movie in the theater, you jackasses.
In IMAX if you can. No, Christopher Null, Null, from filmcritic.com wrote, Petty ruins this movie with her bad acting, inability to crack jokes, and the ability to look stupid no matter what she is doing. 1.5 out of 5. Christopher Null, you are null and void. GTFO. I have never, ever encountered a person so incredibly wrong. More so than you are, sir.
All right, so Nathan was not a fan of that review.
Izzy would be happy I reviewed that review and gave it a non-passing review.
Let's see, Jeffrey M. Anderson. This will be my last critics one. Jeffrey M. Anderson of the Combustible Celluloid. It says it was written in 2009, but I think it might have been pulled from like a review at the time, because he says, ultimately, I had a lot more fun at this movie than I did at Batman Forever.
I mean, I absolutely had way more fun than this than I did with Batman Forever.
It came out the same year, so I'm just saying. I feel like it was a newspaper review or something at the time. Yeah.
Well, my last one is going to be a more current one, just because it's a positive one. I can't end Tank Girl on a negative note. Patrick Dahl from he's a doll from Screen Slate wrote, Tank Girl failed critically and commercially. A badge of honor for a mid-90s post-apocalyptic feminist punk carnival. That's a positive review.
You know what, Nathan? I know I said this was my last one, but I did find my boy here.
He does have one on here, yeah.
He's Roger Ebert said, enormous energy went into this movie. I could not, however, care about it for much more than a moment at a time, and after a while, its manic energy wore me down. I think that's fair, though. Like, I don't think that's outlandishly
He's
negative.
old. He would absolutely get worn
I
down
just,
by
I think
young
it's a
people
lot of
doing young
the.
things because he was easily 10,000 years old at that point.
I just think the frenetic energy can sometimes wear people down. I know I watch a lot of like movies that are like, I was watching, what was that?
This is insane.
I was watching that like even like I was watching like the Atom Project, and after a while I was like, okay, cool, they got lightsabers and we've seen a lot of stuff blow up. Like I started to care less and less as the movie went on.
Okay.
So I
Well,
get it.
I'm not. I am not letting you end this on a negative note. Mark Savlov from the Austin Chronicle has a really quick one, and he says a glorious spastic mess, 3 out of 5, but it's positive
Okay. Well,
because
yeah,
he's
three out
saying
of
it is
five
a
is 60%.
it's
Yeah.
it's a glorious spastic mess, but in the best possible way.
All right. There we go. Audience reviews. Let's do it. Let's see what the peeps are saying. Kemet H, who has an adorable picture of a fox or a dog, I guess, as
What
his
does the fox say?
avatar. The fox says, "Awesome,
Ding, ding,
funny
ding,
as."
ding, ding.
The fox says, "Awesome, funny as hell. All the bad reviews can eat shit. I think this is a classic romp. Just watch the movie and enjoy the wonderful visuals and the laugh a minute, especially the Cole Porter. Let's do it. Sing along. 5 stars."
Yeah, yeah. Well, mine is moderate. It's not. I'm not going full blown 5 stars right out the gate, but it's from Dustin D, and I can only assume that's the late Dustin Diamond.
Mhm.
And he writes, Tank Girl has a frenetic 90s charm and some funny one-liners, but it's also a strange in a not so good way. 2.5 out of stars.
Okay. Mildly acceptable for him. Jeff B, who I can only assume is Jeff Beck, said
Thank God it's not Jeff Bezos. Whew.
tone it down a bit, and it would be a great Saturday morning cartoon series. But for anyone over 30, you probably lost them mid-movie. 1.5.
I would love an HBO like Spawn type cartoon of this.
Mhm.
I would own every episode on DVD, Blu-ray. My next one comes from Chris H, and I can only assume it's Dateline's Chris Hansen.
And he says,
And he
Tank Girl, what were you expecting to happen here?
this was such a fun movie until those damned kangaroos. 20 years later, and this upsets me more than it should. Hashtag bring back Tank Girl. Hashtag hold the Kango. 4
Wait,
out of stars.
does he mean a kangaroo, or does he mean the hat that Billy Bob Thornton wears all the time?
No, Kango, not Kangol with an
Okay.
L.
Or I guess Joey Pants wears it too.
Sam Jackson, also a fan.
Yeah. Following up that point a little bit, Alex G, who really doesn't like this film, he gives it half a star, but he says, he or she, or they, says, is this movie about some woman with a tank or kangaroos? Half a star.
So my next one comes from Simon D. I can only assume that's Simon Dean, aka Nova.
Mm-hmm.
And he writes, based on a comic book written by Liam Howlett and of The Prodigy, this is entertaining enough. He has a very young Naomi Watts in it and some other bizarre cameos. This is a pretty much Mad Max for girls. 3 out of stars.
That's
You know what?
So demeaning.
Simon Dean, the fact that you ended that with this is pretty much Mad Max for girls and didn't give it 5 stars, shame on you.
Also, like, I find that to be a pretty demeaning comment too.
Mm.
It's Mad Max for girls, as if like, because girls can't like Mad Max.
I don't know necessarily he means that is for boys, but I think in regards to representation, right?
Yeah, I know, but it's just, I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't trust that Simon Dean.
I don't either. Not even when he's Nova.
Vasco M says, it's fun watching Tank Girl tank girling, but the movie as a whole is just too ugly and uninteresting to recommend. 1.5.
All right. My next one comes from Andrew J. I can only assume it's a founder of the United States and noted misogynist Andrew Jackson.
What, in his
Uh,
time period?
as exactly as he writes, why isn't it possible to rate a movie 0 stars on here? Half out of stars.
Boo, Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, right. He doesn't even bother to give him his gripes with the movies. He just gripes about Rotten Tomatoes not letting him rate it 0. It's like, you know what? Well, you should just download their app and rate that 0 and leave it alone, Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, calm down, Andrew Jackson.
Exactly.
All right, Nathan, I've
Which
got
is
one.
what all of his people said.
I've got one more here for you. This is
Okay.
now, like, it doesn't matter what the name is because this is from Nathan S. And it just says the best movie ever made, 5 stars.
I mean, they're not wrong. They're not wrong.
I just love how someone takes the time to go on Rotten Tomatoes, writes that, rates it, posts it, and goes, yeah.
Got one for you. I know it's not the highest of high ratings. Like I forced the critics one to end with, but I have this one's inspired because it is from Mad M,
Oh
and I
shit.
can only assume that's Mad Max.
The Tom Hardy one.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about how wars are caused by people and things like that. I'm not talking about that. It's
Warlord started all the wars.
right. Tom Hardy, despite the fact that he was apparently him and Charlize did not get on.
I heard
On the
that
set.
too. They seem like very
He's
different people.
he's method, she's not. That's
He's
the.
yeah, I feel like he doesn't have a huge sense of humor.
I don't. It's not that. I just think it's the fact that he's method and she's not.
Yeah,
And
I'm sure they were fine off the set, but maybe just
they've mended fences, but I
Yeah.
don't know if they'd ever work together again.
no.
Anyhow,
Sometimes that happens.
getting off the Mad Max says it has its moments. I didn't completely buy into the lead's performance, but it was pretty unique. 2.5 out of stars.
Fair enough.
Which, I mean, with the conversion rate from Australian to, I mean, that's 5 stars. It's got to be in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, if you convert Australian metrics,
Star ratings,
Yeah.
to North American star.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that there's something. He gave it 5 stars and didn't even know it.
Thank
you, Mad Max.
If you convert constellations to star ratings in North America, I think it is 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they call them. Anywho, that's it. We did it.
Yes. And now it's time for the dance sensation that's sweeping the nation. It's everyone's favorite time of the show. It's What You Watching, Brad? That's right. This is the point of the show where we share the things that we've been kind of checking out, and hopes that you may want to check them out as well. So, Brendan, my friend, as your intake of media is second to that only of mine, what you watching, bud?
Well, Nathan, I'm going to recommend something I kind of already mentioned for like a second earlier in this podcast, but
Okay.
and you and I saw this together. I'm going to recommend the new Michael Bay movie Ambulance. It is
Ambulance.
It stars Jake Gyllenhaal and Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who you may know from the new Candyman movie. Also has Isa Gonzalez, who was in Baby Driver, as well as a few other movies. But basically, there's a big bank robbery that goes horribly wrong. And the whole movie, much like Mad Max Fury Road, which we've talked about, is essentially one big chase scene, right? Like pretty much from minute, 20 to like the end. So
just about.
It's as crazy and Michael Bay as you can get. He references his own movies. And I'm not saying like there's a scene that's a reference to a movie. I'm saying characters openly say, hey, that's just like the movie The Rock. Hey, we're like the bad boys. Like, it's crazy.
Exactly. And even just stuff that's maybe within his peripheral, like Bruckheimer movies, when someone's, if this happens, he's gone in 60 seconds.
It's nuts.
How did I didn't catch an Armageddon reference.
I think Bruce Willis
Except
showed
for
up
the
at one.
baby at the end touching its finger against the glass.
Spoiler alert. I think Bruce Willis showed up at one point and was like, "You guys know how to work a drill."
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Bruce Willis showed up and told Ben Affleck he loved him.
I mean, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's watch it for the Zoom surgery scene alone.
Oh my god!
It's crazy. This might end up being one of the first movies that one of us recommends and then shows up on the podcast later on. So
That's a
check it out
distinct possibility.
before we possibly talk about it. What about you, Nathan?
Okay, well, actually, I just got a, I don't know, a complete collection, in the mail. It was on a fire sale on Shout Factory. It's Cinematic Titanic. Now, if you guys, you've heard us talk about Mystery Science Theater 3000 several times on the show. You've heard me reference riff tracks and things like that. This is also kind of one of those offshoots. But it's instead of it being like Mike, Bill, and Kevin from Mystery Science Theater, which is riff tracks, this has got Joel Hodgson, the original host of Mystery Science Theater, J. Elvis Weinstein, who was one of the original Mads, both of Trace and Frank, the other Mads, and Mary Jo Pehl, who was another Mad. And they take the piss out of a bunch of. I'm pretty sure if they're not all public domain, they're pretty close. Because I mean, there's like Red Zone Cuba, Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
So they don't go after so much like they don't go after so much like a lot of the mainstream movies that Riff Tracks does.
No, in fact, this one is kind of like a one and done series. They have, I think, 12 movies in the library of the title.
Gotcha.
You can get in one complete collection, as I did. I don't know if you still can. Take a look around if you can. If not, I'll sell you mine for twice what I paid for it.
Factory
But
makes
yes,
copies.
I'm kidding. If you can't get it to purchase, it is available on Tubi through the Shout Factory channel
And Nathan's Etsy shop.
Right. So Cinematic Titanic, check it out.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, since we've gone through all that, Nathan, is your buddy Montrose around to say a few things?
Yeah, he's here. Just one moment, I will go get him. Hello, it's a good friend Montrose Munkington III here, and I feel that I've gotten past people thinking that that the fakers, the pretenders to the throne of Montrose have kind of lived me down, and you folks know who I am, and if it doesn't sound like this, it's not the real Montrose. But I am inviting you to check out my YouTube channel, Montrose Munkington TV, where I will be returning to the Graps as Nathan was off for several weeks, as was I, because where he goes, so goes I. If you've seen, you know what I'm talking about.
You have a Dragonheart like connection.
We do. Honestly, I feel the things that he feels, and it makes me complicit sometimes in the things that he should be charged with.
Oh my.
I'm just going to leave it at that. But if you wish to be friends with me, not with that human degenerate, but if you wish to be friends with me, you can do that at the Facebook group Montrose Munkington III Esquire and Friends, and you could also tweet at me on all Twitter devices at Montrose III. That's the number 3 D. Thank you. More later. Yeah.
Thank you, Montrose, once again.
You're welcome.
Also, we're out there. You can find us on all the podcast apps.
Way out there.
Way out there. Our home base is Age of Radio.
Big time.
You can go to ageofradio.org/whatweretheythinking, or you can find us on whatever podcast app you want. Just search for us. We're there. We're on Facebook. Search for What Were They Thinking there. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at WWTT Podcast. You can find us on TeePublic, Redbubble. We're on Patreon. Welcome new patron Jason Hagen. Be looking forward to see what your movie is. and he's going to be a guest at some point too. He's got that tier. He's got that upper tier.
Oh, he's all about that tier. About
All
that
about
tier.
that tier. About that tier.
About that
About
tier.
that tier. Yeah. So he's going to be on the show at some point, and he's going to give us something to watch. So we'll figure that out later on. So you could join the Patreon too and get cool things like that. You can make us watch something, pretty much anything, as long as it's off that list. You know what? If you suggest it, we'll just tell you right away that it's a no-go. But it has to
I
be a
think we've
bad
only
movie.
got we've only got like 2 or 3, don't we?
Yeah, it's not much. But
There's
also
there's
I just want to put this
Sallow
out there.
and Human and the Serbian movie.
I just want to put this out there too. Like, it's got to be a bad movie, guys. Like, if you don't like a movie that's like an acclaimed movie, listen, we're not doing the Shawshank Redemption, okay? Like,
if you could cover the Gandhi biopic, that'd be great.
Funny enough, I did on the other podcast, and I
Yeah.
didn't love it. So that's kind of funny that you brought.
That's fair.
It's kind of funny that you used that one as an example.
It was the only okay. It was the only Oscar one that could come spring to mind at the time. If you could cover The Last Emperor, go right ahead.
Guys, we're not doing Out of Africa, okay? Like,
well, you know what? We might, just so I could sing the song Africa by Toto so much that the episode gets taken down as a copyright strike.
Yeah. And Jason, this is not a slam on you after I welcomed you. You already told me some ideas and they're great. So good. Thank you. Yeah.
I look forward.
Yeah, that's about it. So I guess I have questions, Nathan.
Oh boy, howdy do I have answers. I am always looking for someone to talk to about this movie. Fire away.
Well, I think we did that. I think we did talk about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think normally, I'd ask you, like, what the fuck? Like, this thing happened, and this thing happened, and this thing happened. And like, whoa, what were they thinking? But you know what? This movie fucking rules. So that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. People who didn't receive this movie well, what were they thinking?
When the little bluebird, who has never said a word, starts to sing spring, spring. When the little bluebell in the bottom of the dell starts to ring, ding, ding. When the little blue clerk in the middle of his work starts a tune to the moon up above, it is nature, that's all, simply telling us to fall in love. And that's why birds do it, bees do it, even educated fleas do it. Let's do it, let's fall in love. In Spain the best upper sets do it, Lithuanians, and let's do it, let's do it, let's fall in love. The Dutch in old Amsterdam do it, not to mention the Finns. Folks in Siam do it, think of Siamese.